horizontal. We control the vertical. Peer into the infrared.
And fans, this is Tales from the Infrared. Join us as we dive into fandom and explore comics, gaming, sci-fi, and fantasy, all from a red pill perspective. Hold on to your phasers, it's time for a nerdgasm! Featuring Rachel Edwards, Jim Kelvarn, James Huff, Dean Esme, and Christian Shearson.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Tales from the Infrared. I am your host, Christian Shearson, and joining me as always is Dean Esme. How's it going, Dean?
Oh, I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore, Christian, but otherwise good.
Me too. Also joining me is Jim Kelvarn. How's it going, Jim?
It's going really well with the exception of a specific pop culture critic. But, you know, as usual, when she's involved, I'm always mad as hell and not going to take it.
Rachel Edwards. How's it going, Rachel?
I'm pretty good. I was so tired last night, I gave people the wrong time for the show. I'm a failure.
And Nephenor. How's it going, Nephenor?
Sugar coma.
Yeah,
and of course, running the back room as always is James Huff. How's it going, James?
It's going just fine, guys.
Now, who's going to bring us through our topics before we roll into the discussion?
Hey, before we go into this, we need to wish Nephenor happy birthday, because yesterday was his birthday, and he's going to hate me now for telling everybody.
Yeah, but it's not today.
No, but it was yesterday.
Yeah, it's Milo's birthday today, so we have to wish Milo a happy birthday.
It's not today.
How many galactic standard years is that now?
About 500.
Gotcha.
All right. We'll go into it, I guess.
I think we agreed that Jim would read our topics today.
Jim, you are a
bitch. I rolled the one. It's my fault. You know, I almost got the group killed this week. So, for this week, let's see. HuffPost Live, 3 strong women of Gamergate fight back. You know, you got 3 very strong women not only showing what strong women are, but defending Gamergate and demolishing the idea that Gamergate is about misogyny. These ladies show a great job of keeping the issue on track and pointing to what is really going on. This is an issue that should be addressed, and these ladies have addressed it well. Second, Anita Sarkeesian cancels USU talk after guns allowed despite death threat. Our favorite pop culture critic, once again is damseling about people who can carry guns to her speaking engagement. Never mind that in order to have concealed carry permit, it takes a lot of work and training to be allowed this privilege. No, she needs to not have guns in her speech because she's afraid for her life. Even though this keeps happening, I'm getting sick of hearing how much of a victim she is. I personally don't want to see anything bad happen to her, but I just wish she would stop with the deceit. In the vein of the last couple of shows, we're bringing in a new show each week, and this week we're starting with The Flash. With the first 2 episodes of The Flash in the can, we're going to look over the fastest man alive and see how it stacks up versus the comics and even the previous incarnation of the character on TV. All this, Doctor Who, The Walking Dead, and of course some surprise topics. Back to you, Christian.
Awesome.
Where do you guys want to start?
Oh, where do we begin? It's like trying to treat a man with 50 gunshot wounds. It's so much shit.
Tell you what.
Here's
Let's start with Anita Sarkeesian and get that topic out of the way, because I do have something to say after this topic is finished.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and get that out of the way. So who wants to start us off with the USU talk being canceled?
Oh, shit.
Oh, I will make only one comment. I made it just before showtime started. Isn't it fascinating that of all the press coverage of that, so far as I can determine, exactly one news source and one news source alone, Robert O'Hara of A Voice for Men News, actually took the time to contact the university officials and ask them about it and find out, and determined that neither the university officials nor law enforcement thought the threats should be taken seriously. Only one.
And the fact that
Isn't
it wasn't
that
just
interesting?
local law enforcement, it was FBI counterterrorism or whatever that said, no, it's fine.
And no other reporter in the gaming press or anywhere else in the media chose to pick up a fucking phone and find that out. Isn't that interesting? To this day, we're the only ones who broke that news, so far as I know.
From what I understand, people in Utah are pissed, too.
They should be.
Well, apparently they really are, very attached to their guns and that gun law. And so some chick comes in and says, I want you guys to sit there and abandon your rights just for me. Is kind of pretty entitled, that's what I'm going to say.
Well, I want to sit there and give a big thank you to Robert O'Hara for doing this. Thank you, Robert. You did a wonderful job. You have my gratitude for God knows how long. But this is exactly what she's been doing. She always does this. She doesn't like something. It doesn't fit what she wants. And then she makes everybody suffer, which unfortunately, there's quotes in the air on that one, which I don't think is really suffering. I think her canceling the talk is actually a good thing for the people who might have actually attended. Instead of listening to her stupidity, they'll get a day to go do something more constructive. But yeah, she does this every time. I'm scared when there's absolutely no need to be. When it's just honestly, I'm going to say it. It's a whole lot of bullshit. And she pulls it every time.
Well, she has to. That's her only thing. That's her entire selling point, is that she's a professional victim. That's all she does. So of course she's going to continue to do it, and if we continue to give her attention, she's just going to continue to get money for being a professional victim.
Well, see, here's the thing. This is the one thing that I actually completely agree with is, you know what? Stop giving her shit. Don't play to her. Tell her no. Let her cry and scream from the mountaintops that she's a victim because people are telling her no. As far as I'm concerned,
just ignore her. It's even better.
I'd love to, but there's only certain things you can do. So long as she has speaking engagements, that doesn't totally work.
Well, the thing that pisses, I think, people off the most is that somebody whose only gift is being a professional victim has this much power, has this ability to get speaking engagements, and continues to gain relevancy because of her connections, and that's the only thing that is sustaining her at all. That's it. That's the gist of it. She stands. I mean, the thing that continues to prop her up is the community surrounding this and her connections and the ability, the power that someone like her can have in the industry. That's the only thing that keeps her afloat.
It's us. It's us. Okay? It is us. It is her opponents who are continuing to prop her up. And this is the point I want to make. We continue to talk about her after... For weeks after every single fucking publicity stunt. We keep talking about her. And here's the thing. I don't want to talk about her anymore. I want to let her fade into obscurity and irrelevance. And I want her to do it quickly and quietly. Right now, at this point, we are playing chess with a pigeon. You know what happens when you play chess with a pigeon? It shits all over the board and tells you it won anyway.
I understand that, but the thing about this is that we've tried ignoring her before.
The time for open discourse with Anita Sarkeesian is over.
Oh yeah, we don't need to have
that chance has long passed. She's not interested in open discourse, so why should we?
No, I understand that, but that's not what I'm saying, though. What I'm trying to say here is that ignoring her doesn't work. We are irrelevant at this point because even though we, on occasion, speak about her and all the other sources talk about her, what continues to keep her afloat are her connections and her ability to get published in something like Rolling Stone and CNN and all those other things because of her PR. It doesn't matter what we think, and that's the whole point. That's why people are pissed off. It doesn't matter whether or not we think she's relevant. She's going to continue to keep going because she has that ability. She has that ability to continue to push herself forward.
It doesn't matter what Rolling Stone thinks about the gaming industry either. It doesn't matter what MSNBC or Fox News thinks about the gaming industry either. They are not
they don't like gamers,
gaming corporations.
Yeah,
they're not gaming corporations, and their audience are not gamers.
But they are the people that the non-gamers are going to see. They're going to see her and say, "Oh my gosh, look at that poor victim." They don't have any contacts.
But when it comes to the gaming industry, who gives a fuck what non-gamers think? The game developers and the game publishers certainly don't give a fuck what non-gamers think. They don't care what people think if they're not going to buy the product.
But I'm saying that it's her position. It's the fact that non-gamers know about her. And they see what's happening to this poor, pitiful victim that they have no context about, and they continue to prop her up. So this demographic of core gamers, it doesn't matter what they think. What's propping her up are the people who are the useful idiots.
Also, Christian, as much as I like what you have to say, and I agree with it based upon the gamer perspective, there's also the political perspective. And that is the majority of the population in the U.S. And they're going to still sit there and bite into this. They're going to bite into MSNBC, Rolling Stone, and they're going to sit there and they're going to throw support behind Anita. And that's something, as much as I'd love to just let her fade into obscurity and never hear another word from this stupid moron again. It's not going to happen until the mainstream stops giving her press time.
There's no way to engage Anita because she doesn't wish to be engaged. She's not talking to the gamer audience. She doesn't care about the gamer audience. She's talking to the mainstream press, and she's creating a very profitable narrative about herself. I mean, how low can you go that in the middle of all this, she just suddenly tweets that these Gamergate people are the people who've been harassing me for 2 years, and then she gets hundreds of retweets on that. Anita, you were barely part of the conversation. I mean, you were, but there's no winning. I mean, she doesn't want to talk to anybody. I happen to know that I'm not going to give any more details, but I know that there's a group that's friendly to men's issues that's going to try to invite her to come to give a talk to them. She's not going to accept, or if she does, she'll make it all about her anyway. Never mind.
Even if she does, I guarantee you she'll pull the same thing she did at USU and back out at the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
No, but has anybody here ever seen any of her talks?
Oh, they're all about her.
Any of her talks, any of her interviews. It is. It's not about gaming, and it's not about supposed misogyny in gaming. It's all about her and her threat narrative, and how she's been threatened and she's getting harassment online, and there's this giant army of online trolls who are sending her death and rape threats. It's 100% about her and her threat narrative. It's not about the supposed message she wants to get out there.
And that's why our opinions are irrelevant, though. That's why the gaming opinion has continued to be irrelevant on the topic of Anita Sarkeesian. It's not about us. It's political at this point. It's about all of these people that she's engaging who aren't gamers, who just see this as, we need to push women ahead and push them forward, and okay, let's just throw a bunch of money at this woman. She comes to these colleges where there's a lot of people who probably, for the most part, aren't gamers, and she's not talking to gamers. Her audience isn't gamers. They're feminists. They're ideologues. They don't give a shit.
Well, I don't think it's just the feminists and the ideologues. I mean, honestly, I see her moving up the political ladder as well with some of this, and I would not be surprised if she starts talking with I don't want to make this a left-right issue, but with the Democrat side in the U.S. and starts pushing for more and more.
Her degree is in social. Yeah,
which is why I say, even though I'm a Canadian, in the U.S. in 2016, a Republican is going to win the vote.
I disagree.
Okay, Hillary is not going to win in 2016.
I don't even think that she'll get as far to be even the Democratic supporters.
No, they're propping her up. The Democrats are propping her up.
They're going to try, but no one's going to give a shit.
They're good. They're propping her up to be the candidate for presidency in 2016. However, I don't think she's actually going to win it. I think a Republican is going to win it. But here's my point about Anita Sarkeesian. Sony doesn't give a shit. Microsoft doesn't give a shit. EA doesn't give a shit. They're going to play the political game, but the most they'll do to try and quote-unquote appease her and those like her is, all right, here's a playable female character in our game. That's the most they're going to do.
Yeah, but the thing about it is they keep bringing her in as a consultant. So when we sit there and say that it doesn't matter at all, they continue to bring her in.
They're going to keep playing the political game. They're going to keep playing that political game just to keep them fucking quiet.
The only thing that can really,
and say, okay,
the only thing that can shut down Anita, the only thing that can shut her down is to sit there and expose her for what she is, and that's not going to happen for a very long time. I don't know if there's any evidence whatsoever that we could present. I mean, we could be sitting here with documents saying that she's absolutely a con artist, that she's absolutely all of these things. Yeah, I'm saying we could already sit there and present those people with all those things, but it will take a whole lot to bring people to understand what she's really about. They won't believe it because it's a religion for them.
Already have that. We already have documentation showing that she's a fraud. We already have documentation, proof that she conned her way to $158,000. We already have that. The problem is we're playing chess with pigeons. They don't care about the open discourse. They don't care about the evidence. They don't give a shit about it. They don't give a shit about it. We're yelling at a brick wall. It's not doing us any good.
But what can we do, though? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's kind of...
We can let them fade into obscurity with comfortable in the knowledge that the gaming industry is just going to play the political game to appease them while not really doing anything about it, because even they know what she's saying is bullshit.
Christian, I would love to agree with you on that, but I can't. And the reason why I can't is history shows the exact opposite. Because that's exactly what people did in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, and look at where we're at now. we're still got these people, and they're only getting worse. We need to keep...
There's another way of looking at it, which is, I was thinking about this morning. Maybe we're just going to see an increasingly fragmented culture, and those people will live in their universe and we'll live in ours. I mean, I do think that they will be... I've had some people who walk out of Gamergate saying, you know what, these social justice warriors don't matter, they're not going to change anything. Yes, they will, because the big name publishers will to some extent listen to them, and they can do it in more ways than you think they can. But at the same time, independent developers, it's getting easier and cheaper all the time to make your own games. And so it's just kind of not going to matter, right? I remember when Grand Theft Auto, the very first Grand Theft Auto came out, it was the most condemned and hated video game like in history ever. And that made it a massive commercial success. So to some extent, we just may go back to that mentality from back then of, the ones that the moralists are no longer the Christian fundamentalists. The moralists are the social justice warriors. But pissing them off will become a marketing tool. And
this is actually something that I had talked about before.
May I add something to this?
Yeah.
When it comes to the idea of them having their own little universe and we having ours, we have to remember that these are the same people that are running after the legislation.
Oh, yeah.
In a number of states. There is no their universe, our universe. The same mentality that these people are carrying into the gaming industry is the same mentality these people are taking into state and federal legislation.
Maybe.
And that's part of the point I was making earlier, is that they will continue to do this, and they may not be able to do it directly, but they can go indirectly, taking it into the legislation and screwing people over that way.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a takeover with a soft touch. Go on, Efanor.
Okay. I touched on this before, I think in one of my videos, or at least on one of my on my Twitter feed. The thing is, right now, they are continually actively demonizing anyone who is a gamer, a true gamer, not their definition of gamer. And as such, it's kind of moving things backwards in a way, back to the way it was, that the gamers were the ostracized ones, the nerds, the geeks, the ones that were attacked. And in a way, that actually isn't such a bad idea, because if we go back to that method, what's going to happen is we're going to know exactly who the real gamers are, because they're the ones who stand beside you. And the thing is, we don't need to do anything so much as do anything against Anita. Just stand in her way and say, no, this isn't yours. This isn't this isn't your area. You don't get to dictate. We do. And just deny her access. Don't attack her. Just basically stand there and say, the pool's closed.
You shall not pass.
If we could sit there and start to defund her and things like that, that would be fantastic. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily silencing her, but if we defund her, then there's nobody to keep her propped up. If we can find a way to sit there and throw a monkey wrench in that would be fantastic. And the way we do that is inform the community. And we don't even have to sit there and speak against Anita. We can sit there and show them the facts about what she's actually talking about and how it's a load of shit.
The more the people know, the more likely they are to pull their funding for her.
Yeah, if we just sit there and make them better at critical thinking, that overall will just work itself out. We don't even have to sit there and touch Anita with a 10-foot pole. I don't know. That's just a thought. But maybe we should move on to the next topic. I don't know.
Well, I've got one more thing. I mean, you just said it. We need to make them more aware of what's going on. We need to get them to be to think more critically. And the best way to do that is to still bring these up. Don't talk about Anita very much, but sit there and talk about at least what's going on with what she's doing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Don't talk about her, talk about the effects that what she has is doing.
Exactly.
If we talk about the larger issues, if we talk about the effects of video games on, the brains of young people, or even on people overall, and we show how it's a load of bullshit, that it doesn't make people more violent or anything like that among the demographic that's supposed to be playing these games, yeah, that would be fantastic.
In fact, there is evidence that games actually make people less violent, and the more violent the video games, the less violent the people tend to be.
Yeah, I think what happens is that it allows people to explore these things, in a very safe way. It's a safe environment. They're like, gee, wow, I would absolutely never want to be involved in this kind of crap in real life. Ever.
Right.
It's an outlet. You get angry. Instead of going out and hitting somebody, you play a video game and shoot up a couple characters.
Yeah, instead of saying, hey, I wonder what it would be like to be in a gang, you just play a game instead. You're like, shit. What would it be like? Gee, I wonder what it would be like to be involved in gang wars. Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe. So here,
just waiting for someone to pull that one off.
A real American hero. Okay, let's go on. We're already in the silly place.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with the silly place. I love the silly place, but
actually,
I think it is time.
The whole real American hero can lead us into the bonus topic.
Ooh, but we haven't even touched on the other topics, though.
But remember, the bonus topic is always fun.
And this one actually ties in anyway.
Will this one give us cookies? Oh, I hope so.
No.
Aww.
But apparently, someone decided to, I believe it's Karakura's Smile, Adam J. Benning, tweeted out, "Stop Gamergate 2014 because that's what Captain America would do."
Really?
And, yes. And our favorite Mr. Scruffles decided to post what Captain America would really do, which is stand against this type of bullshit, stand for Gamergate, and stand against corrupt press. As a longtime Captain America fan, I can tell you that's exactly what he would do. He would most likely come out on the side of Gamergate and call people out for being corrupt.
Well, let's read the quote that it's actually from a Captain America comic. Doesn't matter what the press says. Doesn't matter what the politicians or the mob say. Doesn't matter if the whole country decides that something wrong is something right. This nation was founded on one principle above all else. The requirement that we stand up for what we believe, no matter what the odds or the consequences. When the mob and the press and the whole world tell you to move, your job is to plant yourself like a tree beside the river of truth and tell the whole world, no, you move.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really fantastic.
And I think that's why it ties in with everything else, is because we need to get out there and start saying no. This is what's really going on. We need to start exposing the lies and just stand our ground and tell these people no.
Yeah, we just need to sit there and, stand our ground. Absolutely. And that's the thing, though. They think that we're just going to falter and go back and play our video games the moment shit gets hard. And if they think that, they're sadly fucking mistaken. It's really ridiculous how simplistic they think everything is. They don't think very fondly of us. And that's the thing. There's a big stigma around gamers right now, and what's going on in the press is just playing into that. They are playing into this stigma, into this idea of what a gamer is, and that, any little thing could trigger them into some kind of violent rage. The angry gamers, oh my gosh, they're misogynistic and everything. It's everything we hate about society. No, that's actually the opposite. And here we are showing that gamers are the exact opposite of what these people are talking about. For the most part, they're, it's a wide range of people. Sure, you got the shit talkers, but not everybody is exactly what they expect. Everybody shit talks. Except unless you're playing like Bejeweled or something, and even then you're like, you son of a bitch.
I don't know. I've seen some people play when they play against other people shit talk playing Bejeweled, but but
gosh, really?
Yeah,
you son of a bitch.
Yeah, there's another thing we need to think about. I mean, Captain America, he is an icon. He is a hero, and he is one of the many things. I mean, I can name dozens: Superman, Batman, Captain America, Spider-Man, Commander Shepard. I can continue on with the list, but all these people are heroes, and every single gamer has been. I hate to say they've been the character, but they've been right beside the character for most of their lives, and these characters have shown what good really is, and they've shown what a good person really is. And every gamer and geek I've ever known, to one degree or another, has that goodness in them and fights with the same level and passion. They may not be able to fight with the same ability, but they fight with the same level and passion that those heroes do.
You know what's interesting? You bring up a good point, though. The thing that's interesting about, the geeks and the nerds and everybody involved in Gamergate is that these people who are consistently against us, who oppose us, they are so apathetic in comparison. And these people and us, we still believe in ideals. We still believe that society can be redeemed, and these people do not. And so they play into all this other crap, the corruption and everything, because they think that this is a sinking ship, and they'd rather go out on fire than go out penniless.
Let the rats abandon the ship. We'll save it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's that kind of mentality that drives all this crap. They have no issues just swindling people at all because they don't have any faith in society. They think that this is what society is like, and so they're just fine playing into it. And they make fun of us for having these ideals and beliefs, about society, that it can be saved, that a part of it can be redeemed. So that's all I'm going to say.
Wow. Anybody else have anything? Or have we just pretty much just annihilated that one?
I think it's been annihilated. I know one of our other stories was the appearance of the three women of Gamergate who appeared on Huffington Post Live. I'm actually going to take a somewhat contrarian view here because everybody seemed to think they did a great job. And no question, props to those fine ladies for having the guts to stand up and be heard and not take grief from the Huffington Post people. They didn't feel very focused to me. I thought that, of course, maybe it's because they were all first-time outers or something.
Well, yeah, I honestly
I didn't see the what's the word I'm looking for? Coherency that I would have hoped to see out of it. But you know what? Maybe I'm just being harsh because I do media all the time. And really, they were up against a hostile interviewer. They really were.
Yeah,
so.
That's the thing. He was trying to derail.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about it is it was obvious that some of them weren't as experienced as dealing with the press. But the thing about it is I don't think any of them ever expected to be in this position either. So considering what they've done thus far, I think that they did a good job. I think that they did a great job considering that they suddenly had to step up and be the voice of all of these people who are boycotting. And that's important. But so I think they did great considering the situation. So
and now Adam Baldwin's retweeting one of their videos, so they're getting noticed.
I will actually give reluctant props to HuffPo for being one of the only mainstream media outlets willing to even do something like that. And so, I don't know, maybe I'm just in a bad mood because I've been in a bad mood all morning, so I'm just going to retract my negative comments. Those girls stood up and showed some balls.
Yeah, but have you seen the most recent thing? Yeah, that was a load of shit. Okay, as good as they did, I think what happened is that they slipped up. They figured, okay, there are women on Gamergate, and they're going to sit there and at least talk about how some of the people are sexist or whatever like that. I think that's what they were expecting, and they brought on 2 feminists and 1 non-feminist woman, and they thought, okay, well, there's going to be some people somewhat on our side. And that's not what happened. And you see the exact same thing happen again in the next interview. You have everybody on the panel, I'm pretty sure, was a feminist this time, and one person who was neutral, who was one of the girls from before. I think it was Georgie. And, of course,
Georgie was a feminist.
Yeah, Georgie's a feminist, yes. I'm saying, but she's more leaning towards the Gamergate side. If we have to sit there and put it on a spectrum, she's more, leaning towards the Gamergate side on the spectrum, but she's not really there. She's not really taking a position, and that's what they did. They're not going to sit there and pick, Jenny or Gemma to come back on the show because they had the audacity to sit there and not take a shit. So that's the thing, though. They're not going to bring those kinds of women or people on the show. They're not going to bring anybody who is a man who is pro-Gamergate on the show. They're not going to do that. No.
Yeah, they certainly weren't going to bring back Gemma after when the interviewer last time gave her a baited and loaded question. She said, no, I'm not going to take that question, basically.
Yeah.
I got to say, Jenny, Gemma, and Georgie, they did a good job for what they were handed. And personally, I would love to get Jenny, Gemma, and Georgie on this show. So if they're listening, please, contact us.
When will Senpai notice us?
Well, who knows? They might. I would happily have them on here and let them talk.
Oh, yeah. They probably won't come on our show, though.
You can contact me, jkelvarn@gmail.com, Dean Esme at A Voice for Men. Rachel, what was yours again?
I'm sorry. You can contact me on Twitter, actually. It's at naughty_nerdess. So you can reach me on Twitter, send me a message, and I will respond post-haste.
Yeah, by all means. But I also want to point out that, the Huffington Post, the interviewer was sitting there saying, hey, look, I've got to play devil's advocate. No, that is not what he was doing. What he was doing was basically completely taking the anti-Gamergate stance. And you could see the difference between devil's advocate. Devil's advocate generally goes, well, could it possibly be this? What makes you say it's not? That's more devil's advocate. He was saying, well, this is about this. And no, he was taking the anti-Gamergate side. And
well, here's the thing that proves that he's obviously not doing devil's advocate. Because the first day, it was 2 anti-Gamergaters and 1 Gamergator. It was one anti-Gamergator and 2 Gamergators. And he was pro-Gamergate.
Okay. You had 2 people who were neutral on Gamergate, but were more likely, but understood what was going on, and 1 person who was sitting there playing a victim. That's what happened the first time around.
Okay, yeah, right. Well, technically, I don't know. I mean, Based Hot Wheels is pretty pro-Gamergate at this point.
Yeah, I think he said that he wasn't really taking a stance, though. But, I think now, after encountering media...
But at that point, he wasn't playing devil's advocate. He was playing anti-Gamergate. The second day, he was quote-unquote playing devil's advocate. The third day, we had 2 anti-Gamergaters and 1 neutral, and he's still anti-Gamergate. So he's not playing a devil's advocate. That's pretty damn obvious.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, is you can tell by his the track record he's creating, he is anti-Gamergate. How do you sit there and say, I'm playing devil's advocate, when the whole time it's the same thing? I'm sorry, dude, you're full of shit. Actually, I'm not sorry. I take back the I'm sorry. You're full of shit. I'm calling you out.
Yeah, I mean, I was tweeting at that guy earlier. I mean, it wasn't today, it was yesterday. And he seemed to feel like really threatened by it. He said he was like, "Oh, why can't we all just get along?" kind of shit. And he's like, you know what? There's no conversation to be had with women like that who are being emotionally manipulative. This is their livelihood. Their livelihood is around this victim narrative and using feminism and using the whole thing about women being oppressed and everything. They use that to make money. Their entire company, all their businesses are centered around women appearing to be oppressed. So if you sit there and you challenge that and you actually empower these women, it fucks their shit up. You can't have a conversation with somebody who's emotionally manipulative and who benefits directly from women being considered weak. So no, I honestly don't think that there's a conversation to be had with the anti-Gamergate side, because they don't want to educate themselves, those that actually care about women and minorities. They don't want to know what we're all about. And the people who are directly benefiting from this, they're not going to have a conversation with us because they know exactly.
They know exactly what? Did we lose Rachel?
Oh, God. I think we might have.
I think we did. Oh, no.
We'll have to wait for her to get back.
Well, the one thing that I actually did get him to somewhat concede on was that I said, gaming is our escape from politics and the real world, which is why we oppose the feminism.
Well, that's the thing is, I mean, we all have to escape from the drudgery of normal life. I hate to burst people's bubbles, but if you think that life is going to be anything but wine, roses, and song, you're living in a Disney fucking fairy tale. Life is the wine, roses, and song are the nice little high moments that occasionally come. And you know what? It's great to have them. I love them when I can get them. I hate to say it, I love those Disney moments whenever you can get them. They're nice, but they're a rarity. They're not the normal. Anybody who seems to think that the Disney moments are supposed to be all the fucking time, they're not. Rachel, are you back?
Yes, I am. Where did I cut out? I was saying that there is no conversation to be had, with the anti-Gamergate side, because they benefit directly from keeping women, these victims, from keeping them, these helpless, women who cannot even conceive of self-reliance, who just freak out at the sign of it, the first sign of adversity. And that's the thing. You can't have a conversation with people that benefit from this emotional manipulation. There's no conversation to be had with those people. They know exactly what they're doing. They know that this is a game that they're playing, and you can't have a conversation with those kinds of people. They know exactly what they're doing. It's
well, they're playing the game the best way they know how, which unfortunately screws people over. And when you're screwing people over, I'm sorry, that's not a very nice thing to do for the most part.
They don't give a shit.
As far as I know. I know they don't give a shit.
They really don't. And the thing about it is that, the guy on HuffPost Live, he's still willfully ignorant that, we can all just get along with these people. He doesn't understand that the people that we're against right now are not the people who are interested in helping women or minorities. They are the people that capitalize on them. They ride on the back of these people feeling oppressed and staying victims. They ride on the back of these people. They benefit directly from that. They don't understand that they're using these people. So there's no conversation to be had. at all.
Well, he did admit, yeah, I am hung up on feminism. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's so hung up on it, he can't see past it.
Yeah, but he's like a coffee shop feminist. He doesn't understand what this is all about. He doesn't understand that they're using people. That these particular feminists, they're using that label. They're using that label as a shield from any kind of criticism. So if they do something wrong, if they fuck other people over, if they harass people, it doesn't matter because they're like, well, that person must have deserved it because they're a feminist and they're the progressive ones and they're the ones they're just trying to help society, you guys. Why are you getting in their way?
Except for the fact that there's no evidence that they're helping society. In fact, there is quite a bit of evidence that feminism is destroying society. And if they're going to sit there and say, oh, feminists are helping society, I want evidence.
Well, it doesn't matter because to them, feminism it does only good things, kind of like religion. They're like it does only good things, like it children's smiles and it helps girls like to be empowered and all those other stuff, but they don't.
You're not.
That's
not empowered by playing a victim. That is not empowerment.
Yeah. What you're doing is you're encouraging men, you're encouraging other women to sit there and prop you up on their shoulders, and that's not empowerment. That's
parasitism.
Yeah, that's being a toxic individual who is depending on other people for everything. You're being codependent. That's
last thing I want is some feminist bursting out of my chest.
That's what you're doing. You're not relying on yourself. You're not empowering yourself when you do all this stuff. It's ridiculous. You're teaching women to be parasites is what you're doing. You're not teaching them to be self-reliant. You're not teaching them to fix their own cars or to fix their own computers or to do any of the stuff that would actually be relevant in helping them to be more self-reliant. You're just encouraging them to whine when they're offended. So it's really ridiculous, but like I said, it's not going to matter because to them, feminism equals like the pursuit of women pursuing equality, and it doesn't compute in their brain that it's anything else.
Well, I disagree that feminism is pursuing equality, and
me too. I'm not arguing that.
Let me explain why I say that. Is because their definition of equality does not track with what equality really is. I mean, if you look at it, I'm gonna any MRA or MGTOW or anybody who's listened to the show for a while probably knows what I'm about to say, but this is for anybody who's new. You have men digging ditches, you have men digging coal out of the earth, felling trees, and doing dangerous jobs that can get them killed at a short notice. And these are 97% men in the workplace death. I'm sorry. If you look at most jobs, the three things that increase the price that a job pays, hazard to life and safety, high stress, and high education. Most women get into jobs that at best have high education. If it's high stress or high danger, they avoid those like the plague.
You're also forgetting high work hours, which is something they definitely avoid like the plague.
Well, yeah, but that's actually more that goes into overtime. That's something slightly different. What I'm talking about, what affects it most are those three. The extra work hours is kind of a fourth.
Yeah, but the thing about, like I said, it's all going to come back to that coffee shop feminist idea of what feminism actually is. It's a very sort of, it's a very
Disney
loose
princess version of what equality is.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Disney princess thing. It's like, I'm empowered. I want so much more than they've got planned. I want more than this provincial life and shit. Like, yes, that's what it is. It's like,
what?
And how can you not support these women trying to do that stuff? Blah blah blah. But it's just like the Disney princess thing. They don't want to be empowered. They want to be a princess at the end.
Yeah, and I will support a woman getting out there and doing things and getting herself empowered on her own, I don't have a problem with that. It's when she says, like Emma Watson did, I want to be empowered, now men do this for me. I'm sorry. No. Fuck yourself. You want somebody to do it? Do it your damn self. Somebody else go.
Yeah. But yeah, it is exactly like that. It is exactly like, you know, she's like, I'm from Britain and I think it is right. And have you noticed that all of these women who claim to speak for all women are incredibly affluent? They don't sit there and speak for the poor women who actually have to learn how to do shit.
Well, you know, that's why I did my tweet of the image, said, when you accept your gender role and he for she, then you have my permission to be human.
Yeah, that's a good point. But there's also something else, and this is something that I noticed, with the exception of when she talked about her being the Harry Potter girl. If you watch her video without any sound, you'll notice there's absolutely no emotion. All the emotion and inflection is in her voice. There is no emotion on her face whatsoever. It's like she's reading a grocery list the whole fucking time.
Yep.
She's being openly dishonest.
She's being an actor. That's exactly what she is. She was handed a script, told to read it, and go.
And they also have like this sort of dramatic music in the background for effect. What? Are you serious? You're talking to the fucking UN, okay?
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that's the whole point. It's just movie the whole point of he for she, I know we're kind of getting off topic, but the whole point of he for she and her speech is movie magic to bring people in and make them think, oh, this is a wonderful thing. But if you listen for even a moment, especially if you watch Justicar's video, I'm going to give plug to Justicar. He did a great job on refuting it.
Yeah, even I saw that video. It was fantastic.
Oh, yeah. But if you listen for even a moment, it's do for me, do for women. I'm going to say this, and I want men to start saying this to women more often than they do. Fine, you want me to do for you, what are you going to do for me?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing, though. I remember at one point she mentions, like, we understand that you guys have issues, but you need to empower the women because you're already empowered, and what you need to do is you need to allow yourself to be human and let your emotion... I mean, she doesn't understand men at all. She honestly thinks that guys don't show emotion because they're afraid to show emotion. No, some guys, you know, they're forced into that role. It's not something that they readily accept. Some guys, you know, are actually more expressive and openly express their emotions.
Well,
they don't understand there's a spectrum of men, you know? There's a lot of different people.
To an extent, I'll disagree with you, Rachel, because, you know, a lot of times men tend to express our emotion very matter-of-factly, because that's the way it is for us. We don't get bogged down in the emotion. We don't let ourselves get stuck in the emotion. We have to deal with things. We're forced to deal with things. We don't have time to be sad. One of my favorite expressions when I have to deal with something is, you know what? It hurts. I'm in pain. I'll deal with it when I have time.
You know what? That also brings us back to why there's such a difference between men and women, though. Because when we do treat men and women differently, though, when they're younger, and we do encourage women to sit there and continue that whole victimhood thing, like, oh, I scraped my knee, into their 20s and their 30s, and a lot of them don't start to fucking knock it off until they reach their damned 40s, and even then you see like 40-year-old women who are still pulling the same damseling shit that they pulled when they were 17 years old. So we encourage that. We readily encourage this crap in women.
But for men, we actually sit there and say, knock it off.
Yeah,
Big boys don't cry, or if that doesn't work, I'll give you something to cry about.
So I don't think it's necessarily encouraging people to be more emotional. What it's doing is it's encouraging them to dwell on those emotions and not deal with them in an adult way.
Right. Whereas with boys, we're forced to just deal with them when we have time.
Yeah, instead of teaching people to deal with these issues like an adult and handle your problems in a way that is healthy, they encourage these people to dwell on those emotions and to continue that victimhood narrative so that they never ever get healthy. Ever. They don't pursue that treatment, they don't pursue their growth. They just continue to sit there and dwell on all of the horrible things that happen to them. So when they sit there and talk about all this crap about, objects are acted upon and crap like that, they're doing this shit to themselves. Absolutely.
Well, see, the biggest problem I have with objects are acted upon is women are still making a choice to be objects. For lack of a better way of putting it, they're still making a choice to let somebody else do the acting instead of acting themselves.
Yeah,
to sit there and say that it's actually women are objects, it's what it is women are choosing to let somebody else do things. And then they get upset about things not turning out the way they want. I'll tell you from my own experience and the experience of most guys I've ever talked to, the only way we've ever gotten anything we wanted was by doing it and making sure it turned out how we wanted it. By all means, somebody else.
Yeah, someone else come here and talk about stuff, or maybe we even switch topics. Or do we have any more topics?
I think, we do have more topics. We have The Flash. We have Doctor
Who. The
Who.
Flash. Yay! Wait. I haven't seen The Flash, actually.
And here's the
Is
interesting
it better
conundrum.
than the 90s one?
It would probably have to be. Here's my conundrum. Even though I have been watching Walking Dead all along, I have not seen the premiere episode. On the other hand, from my perspective, there's no such thing as spoilers because that episode's been out for a week now. So, Christian, are you there?
Christian, wake up.
I am, but I have not seen The Flash.
But have you seen Walking Dead?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Why don't you tell us what this season is starting to look like a season worth picking up again? Because I got to tell you, it nearly jumped the shark for me at the end of last season.
Yes, this episode was a very, very strong episode. I'm gonna try to explain it without spoiling anything.
Don't worry too much, because it's been out a week. So anybody who wants to whine about spoilers should maybe shut up. You've had a week to watch it.
Hey,
true enough.
Excuse me. I'm a fan of the show, and it ended a little bit on a sour note last season, but I'll tell you that it started off with a friggin' bang.
Really?
Oh man, yeah, so worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Okay.
What happened was, Terminus is pretty much in ruin already in the very first episode. So at the end of last season, they just get to Terminus and they get captured and thrown into the train car. The very first episode of this season, Terminus is in smoldering ruin.
All right. Don't waste any time.
So the episode opens up with Rick, Daryl, and Glenn, and I can't remember the skinny black guy that's in their group. I think he was the same one who almost got them killed in the store.
Yeah, the former combat medic.
Former combat medic, former alcoholic. Mm-hmm. So it's those four with another 3 random people from, I think, another train car. Because there are other places. There are train cars and cargo containers full of people all over this compound. So they're taken into the compound and they're lined up in front of this large vat. It's almost like a really large steel urinal like what you would see in like a hockey stadium. And they're tied. They have their hands tied behind their back, and they're knelt down in front of this giant tub. And the two guys that are there, they're dressed up in sort of like gear to keep their real clothes clean, because they proceed to bash them over the head with a baseball bat and then slit their throat and bleed them out into this urinal. So they get through the first 3 guys.
Sort of like how they poleaxe cattle.
Yes.
And then drain them.
Yeah, and as this is happening, there's somebody else over near a corpse chopping it up. A human corpse, not a walker corpse, a human corpse, chopping it up. Okay? There's strong suggestion here that these people are cannibals.
Shit.
So they get through 3 guys, and they're about to do it. They're about to bash Glenn's head in with a baseball bat, and
so they're basically going Last of Us.
No.
You're forgetting that entire community.
They're about to kill Glenn when there's a giant explosion outside. And during the commotion, everybody's freaking out. What the hell is going on? Rick gets free. Stabs the one guy in the throat with a sharp piece of wood, like a wooden stake. And then proceeds to, I think, wrestle with the other guy. So they get free. Later on in the episode, it turns out it was Carol who caused the explosion. And this is what, to me, makes it such a powerful first episode for this season. When they free the rest of the group and they leave the compound and they meet up with Tyrese and Carol, who still have Judith, Daryl, upon immediately seeing Carol, runs over to her and just embraces her in this large hug. There's a bond between those two that's been brewing for a couple of seasons, and I think this season we're finally going to get to see what kind of bond that is. But what's more powerful is how Rick reacted. If you remember from last season, because Carol burned those 2 people alive in the prison, Rick let her go, said, leave, you're not a part of the group anymore. But when Rick sees her, he asks her, was this you? Did you do this? And you just see her smile and nod slightly, and you could see it in Rick's face. She redeemed herself.
Well,
that to me was a very powerful moment.
Shit.
All right, you got me. I'm going to catch up on The Walking Dead. I've already got it TiVo'd, just haven't watched it. And we got it. It's on tonight.
I'm so
right?
behind.
Or is it tomorrow?
I'm so behind. Yeah, it's probably gonna be. It's tomorrow. I think it's
tomorrow.
I think,
it's on
it's a Sunday thing. It's been a Sunday thing for a long time.
I've got a question. If I remember correctly, Rick is like the main character.
Yes.
More or less.
What happened to his wife?
She died.
And his best friend.
And he died.
Carl.
Yes.
Okay.
Carl.
What happened to his wife is she got bit in the prison, but she was able to give birth before turning. So he has a baby now, Judith, which Daryl has nicknamed Little Ass Kicker or Little Shit Kicker. Ass Kicker or Shit Kicker, one of those two. But she died. And it caused Rick to go a little insane for a while there. He started hallucinating and seeing Lori. And it almost caused him to shoot Tyrese and them when they first got to the prison. What happened
now,
to
is this
Shane
the guy
was,
that is in all the Walking Dead memes?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Rick is dad, yes.
Okay, good. Because I love those memes. I don't know the show, but I like the memes. They're hilarious.
Yeah, it's like the one
What
where he
happened to
looks Carl.
Shane was just before the farm got overrun. Shane brought Rick out because they had a prisoner from another group. And Shane killed them, but went back to the group and said he got away. He was planning on killing Rick. And Rick figures this out. So Rick ends up killing Shane in the middle of a field. But didn't shoot him in the head. So Shane ends up turning almost immediately.
Yeah.
And almost kills Rick. But Carl is there with a gun, and Carl shoots the zombie Shane, the walker Shane, in the head to save his father. That's what happened to Shane.
Okay, I might actually have to come back to pick it up. But wait a minute. If I remember correctly, his wife was cheating on him with
well, it's not really. I don't know.
It wasn't cheating.
Because she thought he was dead.
Because she thought he was dead. Shane thought that he was dead. Everybody who knew Rick, who was in that group, thought Rick was dead. They were not expecting to see him again. And to be honest, Shane actually did do a really good job as a replacement for Rick, as a father figure for Carl. And I think Lori was grateful for that. And that's why their whole relationship started. But when Rick came back, that was over. I mean, Rick's back in the picture. Carl has his father. Lori has her husband.
That was part of why I was out, is because it didn't look like it was over. In fact, it looked very much like they were just hiding it.
It wasn't over for Shane. It certainly wasn't over for Shane. Because Shane actually did care about her quite a lot. And he felt like he was robbed of an opportunity. He wasn't really trying to do anything nefarious. It's just that one night at the CDC, when he got overly drunk, he sort of stepped over a line. But after that, he was always insanely jealous, although nothing happened between Lori and Shane. Once Rick got back to the group at the camp, nothing else happened between those two.
Fair enough.
All right.
I might join back in. I might not. We'll see.
Yeah, it's up in the air for me. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot to be invested in when you pick a series back up again, and there was just too much shit.
Zombies are dead to me.
There's just too much shit going on with the governor that just made me sort of like, whatever.
Well, governor's dead, so don't worry. Yeah, governor's already dead. He's gone.
I know, but just, I don't know. There's a whole lot of crap that...
Although there was one episode, I believe, last season, it was all about the governor, and the writers with that episode were trying to show a more human side to the governor, but how they wanted to show what kind of person the governor was before he lost his family. And the small group, the small family of survivors that he runs into and who take him in, at the beginning, he sees those people as his family. He projects his family onto those people. And the writers are just trying to show a more human side to him. Although at the end, like, when all is said and done, he's still back to his evil ways, and he uses them to recruit more people and in an attempt to take Rick down.
Well, all right. I will say that until somewhere toward the middle of last season, Walking Dead started to lose me. So I am going to go ahead, but I did grind on through, so I'm going to go ahead and invest in this next season. We'll keep you guys up to date. I do worry about Walking Dead, that it'll suffer the same thing that most American series, most not all, most American Hollywood shows do, which is that they never write an ending, and so you never get a satisfactory conclusion. Then the show just keeps going until you're sick of it. I hope
Walking Dead it just keeps shambling on like The Dead?
Exactly. Until nobody cares anymore, which is the fate of most Hollywood TV shows. Either that or they get canceled before they're finished, like other great Hollywood TV shows, like Farscape, for example. But, I don't know. We'll see. I'll invest in it, and maybe we'll talk about it more in the next show. By then, we'll be
Maybe.
3 episodes into the season. In the meantime, I'm very curious about The Flash, and I got like 18 million questions about The Flash.
Yeah,
So,
me too, because I remember, like, the really terrible 90s version. I remember I watched, like, 2 episodes of that, and I'm like, I'm done.
I
I was
don't
a
even
kid. I was a kid
remember
when it happened. I was a kid when it happened. I was like, cool, a superhero television show. And then I was like, this is really cheesy.
All right, so my first question straight up, is this the Barry Allen Flash? Is this the story of Barry
This
Allen?
is Barry Allen. This is Barry Allen with slight changes. A lot of the stuff harkens back to the old Flash comics, though the costume looks very much New 52-ish. And it actually, he's young, which is interesting because he's like in his maybe mid-20s, whereas when in the comics Barry Allen became the Flash, he was early 30s.
Okay. I see his uniform looks more, I'm looking just online, his uniform looks more maroon than bright red.
Right.
But I don't know if that's anything to complain about. It just is what it is. I've always had trouble. I like the Flash comics, but how do you do the Flash? I guess I have to watch it and see how they pull it off. But, he's an implausible character to me. He just is. I mean, like, shouldn't he burn up from friction burns? I know, he's got some kind of force field, right?
Well, yeah, kind of. His clothes don't, his body can take it, his clothes really can't. They've explained it because he's connected to what's known as the Speed Force. He's able to do that.
The Speed Force?
No, that's actually in the comics too. They talk about
it's in the comics.
Really?
It is in the comics.
Okay.
Every single speedster has some connection to the Speed Force. It is what allows them to move so fast.
I'd still like to know exactly how it is that he's capable of stopping on a dime.
Yeah, that's true too. The G-forces alone should.
Because, I mean, as soon as his legs stop, the rest of him, his legs could stop, the rest of them should be, continuing to go like a friggin' bullet.
Well, actually, I think a lot of it, when they explain the Speed Force, they kind of explain it as a control over time itself in its own little way, in that he actually is stopping at a normal speed to him, but relative to everyone else, he's going faster.
Yeah, partially, but also the fact that, and this is something they don't really show they can't really show in the comics, is he's running really fast, but okay, James, run 100 yards, and how do you stop? Do you stop on a dime, or do you kind of slow down?
No, I slow down first.
Yeah. He does the same thing, only it just takes a little bit longer. Generally, he has skid marks.
Okay.
But since he can see, in order to actually be able to move at that speed, his brain is able to process the information that comes in faster. So he can literally stop at where the dime is, but only because he sees it further away and he's able to calculate, just like everybody else.
Okay, so basically we do have comic book physics to explain all of these abilities of the Flash, and he can move at nearly the speed of light, right?
I'm just saying, the only time I ever get skid marks when I run 100 yards is when I drink a whole lot the night before.
Oh!
You're a bad person, and you are banished from the show.
James, you got a high five from me.
Shun!
That was bad, and you should feel bad.
Yeah.
James, you still got a high five from me.
This is the equivalent of a shit post.
I asked.
Rim shot!
Or rim job.
Well, in Rachel's case, it usually is, but...
We are completely out of control now. All right, so, okay, my stupid question aside, because obviously they're going to have some kind of comic book physics to explain it, right? Some kind of movie physics to explain, something called the physics. What's good about this show, The Flash? What's good about it?
Well, there's a few things that are very good about it. It really takes Barry through the hero's journey That's what it seems like the first season is. It's just the hero's journey from normalcy into stepping into the realm of being a hero and becoming the icon that the Flash is, becoming basically the guy who does numerous little things to help out his beloved Central City.
Okay.
It shows Barry for the very caring, loving, human individual that he is. It shows him as just basically a generally nice guy, which I kind of have a slight problem with, but you know. But it also introduces some of his what's known as the rogues gallery that he has. The first episode, you get introduced to the weather wizard. When it shows his mother die, a la the New 52, you see two balls of lightning basically going around her at super fast speeds. One is red, one is yellow. Which, if for anybody who knows anything about the comics, that brings into question who that yellow one is, which is of course Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash, and it actually shows the yellow lightning stop just long enough to see the some semblance of a man there. So you know the Reverse Flash is coming probably very soon. What's good is they make him into a very believable character very believable person with superpowers. I mean, they don't try and go over the top and make it cartoony. They make him just a believable person.
Well, that was one thing I really liked, though, about the Justice League cartoon. When they dealt with him, they actually showed him as a human, caring person. He was just very childlike.
That's the thing, is that was more Wally. He was more the jokester kind of speedster. With Barry, he was a caring person. He wasn't childlike. He's extremely intelligent. He's a police forensic scientist. You know, it shows his intelligence. And it shows his willingness to do what's necessary to be the hero when necessary. So that's a great thing that I think is worth watching The Flash, because it really brings out who the character is. The bad things I see is, has anybody watched Smallville?
I could never get into it. I tried one or two.
I watched a few episodes of the first season, but after that, I just kind of like, eh.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It was too cheesy.
They're taking the formula for Smallville. They've tweaked it a little bit, and you can already see the people they're trying to bring in, which are like Caitlin Snow, the current Killer Frost, Ronnie Raymond, who is Firestorm, and you can see them setting up for basically, you know, bringing in other characters from the DC universe. In fact, in the very first episode, you see him talking with Oliver Queen from Arrow, who makes a cameo appearance. So yeah, like I said, it looks to be, you know, the hero's journey. Then they're going to bring in other heroes to keep the story going along and introduce other characters from the DC universe. And yeah, I can see this going bad soon, but at the same time, you know, I could see 1, 2, maybe if they squeeze it out, 3 seasons of good stories for the Flash before it starts dying.
Until they finally do the Justice League. There you go.
I hate to say it, but I think that's exactly what it is. It's kind of a lead into the Justice League, and you know, Superman versus Batman.
Well, given the success that Marvel has had with the Avengers at this point, whoever's in charge of the DC properties would be, I guess, who is that? Warner? I can't.
Yeah.
No. Is it Warner? They'd be
Yes,
stupid
Warner
not to be
owns DC.
thinking about a Justice League title or series. They just series. They just would be.
I would agree with you, Dean, but from what I've been seeing, they're not going the same route Marvel did, which is, fleshing out the characters, making them believable, making them interesting. They're just, let's get these characters on the screen so that we can get people into it, so we can get our Justice League movie out. And it's like, okay, never mind. I don't want to do this. It's not worth it.
Well, already just doing it as a TV series would be diverging, right? But yeah, you're right. I mean, and then you've got to figure out who's going to be Superman, who's going to be Wonder Woman, who's going to be so and so. I don't even remember who's going to be Batman. Yeah, that is kind of a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest problem that DC has, is they're trying to get the big names instead of people who actually embody the characters and make the characters believable.
That's actually one of the differences that was always the case between the Avengers and the Justice League in the comics, at least as I remember them. I haven't been keeping up the last decade or so, but the Avengers was always made up of basically all of Marvel's second-tier characters, whereas the Justice League has always mostly been made up of Marvel's first-tier characters. It makes it a little more challenging.
Well, Marvel's first-tier character or second-tier characters, they have, with certain exceptions, because Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America have generally been part of it.
They've all been there. I know the historic sales figure, and especially Thor and Iron Man were always medium-level sellers. They were considered B titles for Marvel. I'm not sure I remember on Captain America, but they were never as wildly popular as, let's say, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, a couple of the other titles, X-Men. Those always sold way more than Thor, way more than Captain America, way more than Iron Man. They just did. And so I happen to know when they created the Avengers, they were like, well, we have these titles that sell okay but not great. What can we do something more with them? And that's how the Avengers actually came about.
Yeah. But they also have the Avengers. The Avengers have pretty much always been Marvel characters, period, that need a boost or something, with certain exceptions, because occasionally let's see, Beast has been one of the Avengers, Wolverine, Spider-Man, they have been Avengers at one point or another.
Short term, yeah.
Short term. But yeah, the Avengers is mainly bring in lesser known characters to at least introduce them and make them interesting. With the Justice League, you had the characters that were the top tier, with some supporting minor characters. With the Flash, I see them doing something similar to just bringing in, the second tier and introducing characters left, right, and sideways just to introduce characters.
So I think I only said that to dismiss my own idea of a Justice League TV show. That would be a major undertaking. You've got to pick out Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman.
And you have to make them believable. That's the hardest thing. DC characters, I don't know what it is about them, but the main ones, they're so difficult to get right because they're so, I don't know what it is. It's very difficult.
Out there.
Yeah, they're so out there that you have to have very specific people to come in and make them believable and down to earth. I mean, at first, I wasn't even completely on board with Christian Bale, but then over time, he sort of grew on me. I mean, to me, Batman will always be the Batman from Batman the animated series, Batman.
Kevin Conroy.
Yes, Kevin Conroy will always be Batman to me. Always.
You mean like Mark Hamill will always be the Joker?
Yes. There's and to sit there and do better than that. That is a massive undertaking. They need to have somebody who's probably a relative unknown. They probably need somebody with classic acting training to come in, but what they want to do is just grab somebody off the street and be like, "You're Batman. Come on, here you go." Put it on.
Yeah, I think that's
I'm Batman.
the biggest problem they have that DC has to overcome to actually do a good job is they got to quit going after the big names and start going after the people who will make the characters believable. I mean, I watched. I've seen who they've got for Wonder Woman. I've seen who. We all know it. Affleck. God, that's scary in and of itself. Is Batman, and then the guy from the Man of Steel will be Superman again. The problem I see with this is, Man of Steel wasn't all that great. He didn't do all that good a job of acting. Affleck, yeah, all I gotta say is Daredevil. And this woman they have for Wonder Woman, I can give you a half a dozen names I think would do a better job, including Morena Baccarin from Firefly.
Wait, who did they decide for Wonder Woman? They decide a woman.
Some no name that I've never heard of. I've seen a couple of things that she's done, and I wasn't impressed.
Oh, I see. It takes a lot because these people are, like I said, these are characters that are very, very out there, and some of them almost Shakespearean. So you really, like I said, you need somebody with classic acting training to be willing to sit there and take on the role because it is a difficult role to get right and be believable.
We interrupt this to bring you breaking news.
Okay,
the social justice warriors have just started a new hashtag. Tweet like not your shield. It started with things like, "Hi, I'm a person of color man, so that means you're allowed to criticize me for you're not allowed to criticize me for hurting women because that's how this works, right? I'm trans and thinks Milo says trans is sick pathology. Is A-okay because he likes gamers. My priorities are normal." Yes, social justice warriors are now attacking the minorities they claim to represent.
What's this? We'll get a link. What are you talking about?
Oh, God.
Hashtag tweet like not your shield.
You know what? Fuck them. I can't say that any clearer. Seriously, fuck you guys. Okay, you want to sit there and say that you support us, that you support women and minorities and all that other shit, and yet you want to sit there and then mock us? Okay, which is it? Okay, do you support women and minorities or not? Okay, and that means you have to sit there and not just accept the points of view that line up with your own. You actually have to support all women and all people of color. Damn it.
And the person who started the tweet like not your shield is Arthur Chu, a quote-unquote comedian who has been constantly criticizing Gamergate and attacking them.
Oh, Adam Baldwin. Get him.
Get him! Adam Baldwin, he doesn't listen to us, does he?
Why doesn't he just... whatever. All right, now I have to update the show notes. Thank you, Nephenor. Jim, you're supposed to kill him.
Sorry, Commandos can't find him.
God damn it.
Quarian Commandos can't find him. The Geth can't find him.
Cloaking field. Na, 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 na.
The Geth can't find him. I've used all my resources. The only thing I have left is to start calling on superheroes, and they won't do it.
That's because I pay them well.
Asshole.
Anyway, okay, so some guy named Arthur Chu is created a new hashtag called Tweet Like Not Your Shield. So what? So what? Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. That's what I say. These guys, you realize he doesn't understand. Well, he doesn't understand. He understands whatever he understands. To me, this just looks like reinforcing. Never mind.
He's just going into and bullying and harassing the nerds and geeks again. And he's already talked about how he feels that way is appropriate. So it's not just Gawker Media that has people going pro-bullying. It's this idiot too. And you know what? He's just pushing it back to the way it was, where we can kick them out. Also, I happened to run across something that was very interesting. It was posted on, I think, 4chan. Let me read it out to you here. My uncle is a senior copywriter at one of the top 5 international advertising agencies. He has a degree in communications. So basically, this is what he told me about Gamergate. Up until now, video game sites were considered safe places to advertise a product. Up until Gamergate, companies felt confident that, for example, on video game review websites, there would be no consumer or political shitstorms for a company's brand that bought advertising space to be associated with. He also said that companies are looking at Gamasutra's slandering of Intel's brand and taking it very seriously, and it's not going to just have consequences for Gamasutra, but also the industry as a whole. It's a big no-no to badmouth a sponsor after they cancel a contract.
Wait a minute. Gamasutra actually started badmouthing Intel after they dropped them?
Lay did.
Oh, Jesus, that woman. How stupid do you have to be? You not only burned your bridge by doing stupid shit, then you sit there and you attack. No, you just burned other advertising. No,
as it says. Oh, let me continue here. You're going to love this. He said, within the coming weeks and months, companies are going to be pulling out of the industry as quietly as possible, and the ones that stay are going to giving lower rates. He also said many have already pulled without drawing any attention. Since the entire business model of the industry is built on revenue from advertisers, they're pretty much fucked. Even the sites in the industry that weren't associated with Gamergate in any way are going to have losses, and the ones that were associated with it are going to have significant losses, possibly even go out of business. All this is happening because the industry was considered safe, and that companies buying ad space didn't expect things like partisan shit-flinging and insulting the consumers to come out of them. It would be different if the industry wasn't considered safe and companies knew that they were signing up for this kind of thing, like Perez Hilton. He also said that this is one of the worst cases of poorly handled PR he's ever seen. That it could have been squashed in the very beginning by releasing public apologies. And this breakout of Gamergate into the mainstream is not going to help. In fact, it's going to hurt the industry even more. Gamergate is going to win, but it's not going to be overnight. It'll take months.
Well, the thing
where are you reading this from? Can't beat weaponized autism.
Well, where are you reading this from? This is all magnificently true, but where are you reading this from?
It was from a post on, I think, 4chan. I retweeted it. I'll link it in the chat.
Yeah, I need it.
4chan or 8chan?
Hard to tell. I can't tell the difference. I'm sure
What?
Rachel can when she sees it.
What? Dude, like, okay. Okay.
Sounds like
I'd have to see the screenshot, because, like, if it's blue
hold
background,
on, I'm just getting the link.
Blue background, then it's...
There you go.
Okay, let me see. I like it when you make that. You're like, it's coming in. Okay, let me see. Yeah, that looks like it's 8chan. Yeah, it's 8chan. The leader of Gamergate. Yeah, that's 8chan.
Okay, so there we go.
All right.
This
I
is
am
on
going to
8chan.
include that in the show notes.
That's legit. It's legit.
Basically, this is advertisers saying, fuck you, we don't want you anymore.
I'm telling you right now, if it were me and I were at a very mainstream advertising place wanting to just advertise a generic product, like even if I were McDonald's, I'd be looking at this stuff and going, do I want to get in the middle of this shitstorm? No, I do not. No matter how I felt one side or the other, it's like, I was in a safe place to advertise my product. Nobody will be mad at me. It might be smart for advertisers to pull out for exactly the reasons this guy is saying. It would be smart for many advertisers to pull out for exactly the reasons these guys are saying. This isn't safe. People will hate me. They're insulting their own customers. Or they're forcing customers to take sides. Either way, we lose. Let's get out of here. Yeah. This post is probably strong. And yes, I'm updating the show notes now for anybody who wants to listen to it later. It'll be on A Voice for Men.
Well, here's the thing that gets me. I mean, Nefanor told me that Leigh Alexander decided to attack Intel for pulling their support. What does she think is going to happen by doing that? What, does she think she's going to shame people into sticking around when if somebody says no, we're out, we don't want to be involved with this, and you know what? Yeah, I got on Intel a couple weeks ago for doing it the way they did it and saying, hey, we don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole, but I understood why they did it, because they're a company, they want to keep staying in business. And she sits there and says, you bunch of evil, misogynistic pricks, what do you think's going to happen when you do this? How stupid does this woman have to be to not see the writing on the wall that she fucked up? And they even said, this whole thing could have been avoided if they would have just apologized. And Gamergate's been saying it since the beginning. If they'd have just apologized, nothing would have happened. But no, they had to attack gamers. This is the definition of social justice, people. This is what happens every time. They don't give a fuck what people want, what people think. They are out to sell what they want and fuck everybody else. This is why I've said it. I've said it before. I said it during this show. I will say it again in future shows. We need to start standing up to them and saying no. They don't get what they want because what they want is destructive to everybody else.
They're going full Macintosh, basically.
No, they've gone full retard. You never go full retard.
Well, it's about
that's the same. That's the point. Full Macintosh. Full Jonathan Macintosh.
Yeah. Have you seen shit that he's actually written? It's so ridiculous. You're like, oh my gosh, is he even aware of how fucking crazy he sounds?
No, he's not. Because everybody in his group sits there and kisses his ass because it follows right along with what they say. Even though it's so far fucking out there that it makes the existence of the Force seem realistic.
That's kind of an interesting thing to think about. I remember when I was thinking, someone asked about the mentality of a social justice warrior. My first thought was, have you ever thought about the light and the dark side of the Force? And you remember the end of the prequels where he was talking about how he had brought order to his new empire and shit like that. I have brought peace and all this other shit. That's kind of the mentality right there. They're sitting there with everything that they've worked for in ashes around them, and they're like, I've brought order. I have brought peace. Don't you understand that that's what I'm trying to do, even though they're destroying everything in their path? They have no idea.
You know what? I've got to give it to Rachel. I think she's just hit the nail on the head as to exactly how they think.
Yeah, so they don't understand when they're destroying everything involved. So they could sit there and, completely level
I killed all the opponents.
Everything.
Why are you mad at me for creating peace?
Yeah, I've brought order because I've sat there and I've knocked all of the pieces off of the board. I've destroyed the game, and in doing so, I have brought order.
Yes, they knocked all the chess pieces off the board, and now they're shitting on it, and they're wondering why they're not being declared the winner.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, give me an award now. Look at what I've done. Look at all of our progress. And you're like, holy shit, you're mental. You just killed Padawans. Shit, you killed younglings. God damn it.
Oh my god. Yeah, I hate to say it. That seems to be about what it looks like. And they can't even see for even a second. I don't know anybody else. I don't know any other way to say it, but these people are delusional to think that this is good. I mean...
And it does go back to my thing that I actually believe a number of people got into so-called gaming journalism because it was like they couldn't find work elsewhere. And because they were so unhappy, they decided we're going to change this whole world to make us happy. It's the very definition of unprofessional and stupid. I mean, there's one thing to challenge your audience, and there's another to just shit on them and polarize them. Oh, unreal. And, I know Christian has mentioned thinking, well, what's going to happen long term to the games that the hardcore gamers like? I would assert nothing, because there's only so much you can do to run a publication built on the kind of gamer who spends most of their time on Candy Crush and Angry Birds.
That was my entire point, actually.
Yeah.
That was my entire point.
Well, see, that's the thing
knows. EA knows that they won't survive if they can't rely on selling their games at the $60 and $70 price point plus DLC. Activision knows they can't survive if they can't sell their games at that same price point. Sony and Microsoft know that they can't survive if they can't sell 20 to 40 million consoles every 5 years.
You know what's going to fuck everything up? If people continue, I think it's called Operation Krampus. Basically, everybody is thinking of completely boycotting buying games this year for Christmas, which will fuck everything. It will fuck all of those companies that rely on this to get them into the black. They're going to be fucked. And there's not going to be much that they can do. That's going to be the turning point in this. But we've got to sit there and stand our ground. If shit is not sorted out, by then, Operation Krampus full force.
Well, I will disagree slightly on the Microsoft side, because Microsoft actually does have Windows. While it's not the greatest operating system.
I meant in the gaming industry. I mean, they're going to survive as an OS developer.
Even then, Christian?
They're going to survive as a hardware manufacturer for their Surface Pro series and other various. They do webcams, keyboards, and mice as well.
The Surface Pro isn't doing so well.
Yeah,
the point is they're going to survive.
Yeah, they're going to survive as a company. However, the Xbox brand isn't. Unless they could sell consoles, unless they could sell between 20 to 40 million consoles every generation, the Xbox brand isn't going to survive, just like the PlayStation brand isn't going to survive.
Yeah, and then we're going to be left with just Nintendo, and Nintendo, I want to stay away from the Wii. I'm not a big fan of the Wii.
So somehow we got back on Gamergate. Oh, that's right, because Nefanor gave us breaking news. Still, it's a constantly evolving topic, so who cares, right? If we got back off to it. I mean, Gamergate is going to go on for months. And I'll tell you what, right now, I've already decided to peel back purchase decisions for this Christmas and wait and see. Gamergate is part of the reason. It really is. And I don't know how much of a minority I am, but I think it's going to matter. And if there's a sluggish Christmas sales season, watch out. I see heads rolling at the major games publishers. I see people resigning, and I see people getting fired, not because Gamersgate said fire them, but because somebody looks at them and said, you fucking morons, what did you do to our bottom line? What did you do to our customer base? You fucking morons.
I see these companies, EA, Activision, Ubisoft, 2K, I see these companies following suit with what Nintendo is doing with Nintendo Direct. Every month, Nintendo releases a video that you can get on the Wii U and the 3DS, as well as I think they release it on their YouTube channel, which outlines what they have set up for the next month. And it's a way for the company to talk directly to the customer, bypassing the game journalists entirely.
Well, Sony's already doing that with their PlayStation channel and stuff.
Sony is already doing that. I see Microsoft doing that on Xbox One. I see EA, Activision, Ubisoft, 2K Games, all these major publishers. I see them doing that as well, talking directly to the customer and saying, this is what we have coming around the pike. This is what you have to look forward to from us. This is what we have to present to you. Completely bypassing the game journalists. And quite honestly, I think that would be a much better thing for them to do. It's far less costly for them to do that. It's cheaper for them, and it gives them the opportunity to make sure the customer is getting the information they want the customer to have, instead of relying on some game journalist who might inject their own personal opinion or some political agenda. They can ensure that the message they're sending to the customer is the message they want to send to the customer. It's a win-win
nice,
for
pure
everybody.
Message.
It's a win-win for everybody except for the game journalists. I mean, they're going to lose out. I mean, I think the
You can
days
hear me crying
of,
about that, can't you?
The days of game journalists getting exclusive content in terms of exclusive interviews, exclusive first looks, those are over. And they're quickly coming to an end, and I don't think they're going to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably going to go the way of streams and YouTube and sites that have video. It gets the information across very quickly. It's very easy to access, and it's a little more personal, isn't it?
Yep,
It
Boogie
is.
and Total Biscuit and all of them, they're going to be the new stars.
Well, we have 15 minutes left in the show, and we still have Doctor Who to talk about.
Who?
Doctor Who.
Mother of God.
Who?
Yes.
Who saw the last episode?
No, I haven't
I
seen
did.
it.
I gotta admit, that one was getting better.
I have a confession to make. I'm 2 episodes behind.
Me too.
Well,
Me too.
I'm going to spoil it for you, okay?
Uh-oh.
Clara's not going anywhere.
Wait, what? Now, say that again?
Clara isn't going anywhere this season.
No, I'll tell you
Last
what.
episode. Sorry,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead, Dean.
Well, I was going to say I'm not surprised to hear that some of you have not been keeping up with Doctor Who, because let's face it, almost everybody seems to agree this has been a disappointing season, and I bet we would all agree that it is not Peter Capaldi's fault.
Yeah.
It has, because I don't know anybody who doesn't like Capaldi, but the writing hasn't been there. I will say the last 2 episodes have gotten what I would call better. But I still very much agree that I'm tired of Clara. No offense to the actress. She's a fine actress. She's a boring-ass character, and it's very clear from the last episode we're stuck with her at least until Christmas. Now, what I hear is that she's leaving as of the Christmas episode.
Oh, God, I hope so. Because I don't think
they've already had several announcements in mainstream publications. She's leaving at Christmas.
Yay! And then I hope we get a better companion. Somebody that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm afraid Clara's just not.
It's like watching paint dry with her. It's so boring.
Yeah, the episode before last week's episode, we sort of seen Clara sort of distance herself from the Doctor. She spent less time with him, more time with the math teacher.
Pink.
And then this episode, this past episode, we saw Clara just explode in anger at the Doctor, because they're always getting into some sort of trouble. And she said she couldn't handle it anymore, but at the end of the episode, maybe you can call it like a Deus Ex Machina, she just completely switched her tune, and she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. No, I could certainly handle it. Where's the next place?"
Oh, God. I honestly wonder if she's got, like, selective amnesia or something at this point. It's like, I'm gonna forget about all the crap that I didn't agree with in the past. Whatever. I don't know. We need somebody that's interesting. Somebody who's down for everything. I don't know. Or
we
somebody
need another Amy Pond or another Donna.
Or another Donna. Yeah, I would love a Donna, honestly, because sort of that wonderful
I like
kind
her
of
feistiness.
Someone feisty and who doesn't take the Doctor's shit, or who is sort of like a bro kind of character. Like, let's go do cool shit. Okay, Let's go.
I could live with someone who doesn't take the doctor's shit. I mean, go back to an Amy Pond type of person. Awesome.
Well, no,
But-
actually, Amy still took his shit, but she still would give it back to him. Whereas Donna didn't take his shit and would throw shit at him.
Yeah.
It took me a while to get into Donna, but I actually prefer Amy.
I like
Donna.
Amy, but mostly because, I like redheads.
Well, Amy Pond is almost like a goddess of a character, where you're just like, oh, she's so amazing, but you know what I mean? It's kind of like, yay. But
I even liked Karen Gillan in Guardians of the Galaxies. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, yeah, but the thing about it is that character she's almost handled very, very delicately, and there's always something wonderful about her character, and she's just so awesome. That's Amy Pond in a nutshell. She's the girl who waited and stuff like that. But it's a lot more interesting than Clara's story, to be honest. And
one of the things that's always bugged me is Clara's story doesn't even seem consistent. It really irks me. This is a girl who's supposedly been with the Doctor for, all 2,000 years of his life or whatever. Yet I don't feel that gravitas there. It seems incoherent to me. I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah, it really does. It really just sort of feels like it was tacked on, whereas when you have Donna, she sought out the Doctor because her life was kind of a bit mundane, and she suddenly saw the universe and she wanted to go, have more of that. And, she had a lot of really cool shit went on with her story arc. And then it was very, very sad to see it all end the way that it did. So it just left this impact on you. You're kind of like, oh, I miss Donna. She was so cool. And, there's that attachment to the character, whereas once Clara's gone, I'll be like, good riddance. You've overstayed your welcome. There's nothing that I really feel for you as a character. Just go away. Like, even Martha Jones, there was that attachment to, you're like, okay, you understand that she has a crush on the Doctor and everything, and then eventually she finds herself traveling the Earth for, I think it was like a year or 2 years?
A year.
Yeah, a year. And all by herself. And she just working through all this shit by herself. And she became capable and self-reliant. Clara is not self-reliant. I'm sorry. She is no Martha Jones. She could not do what Martha Jones does.
I never much liked Martha Jones, but with Martha Jones, I've met people who really dug her for a variety of reasons. I have yet to meet anybody. Maybe I'm not representative of the whole population, but I've yet to meet anybody who thinks that Clara is the shit. I haven't met anybody who thinks that.
Well, with the exception of her having a really nice ass, I don't really care for her.
Yeah, Martha. Sorry. Clara is very attractive, and that's the thing. I'm like, oh, I really want to like her. I really want to like her so bad, but there's nothing for me that really stands out for me. I don't know. I even like Rose more than her, and watching those seasons again, I'm kind of like, whatever, Rose. But I even like Rose more than I like Clara. I don't know what it is.
She has nothing interesting about her. There's no depth there. She lacks depth. She lacks substance. She lacks. Really, there's nothing interesting about her. In the show.
You know what?
Who wants a spoiler-free?
Hold on a second.
Who wants a spoiler-free preview of tonight's episode?
Christian, before you do that, I actually have something I want to add on to what Dean said. And that's, sadly, Jenna Coleman, she has a nice ass. Even the character, who you can tell is very sexual, with a lot of what she says and how she acts, I hate to say it, she doesn't even have sex appeal.
Not to me. Not to me.
She's very...
Are you kidding me?
I think...
Yeah, no, I don't find her sexy.
I honestly think that what it is it really is the sort of school teacher, librarian kind of but not naughty teacher or naughty librarian kind of sexuality. It's very non-threatening. And that's probably what it is. I mean, you saw Amy Pond, and when she got naughty, you had this feeling like, wow, she definitely has sex and lets her hair down.
That's right.
But with Clara, it's all very safe and,
Well,
whatever.
with Clara, it's at best missionary position.
For the sole purpose of procreation.
You know what? I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. It's missionary position, and she starfishes.
Oh, for God's sake! I don't know if it's that bad, but okay.
Anyways.
What's the spoiler free for tonight?
The doctor and Clara get separated on their next journey through space and time, and even worse, the doctor is trapped. He's unable to help when Clara finds a threat from another dimension. There's nowhere to run or hide from the foe because not even walls offer protection. Clara has to think of a solution and save the day.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Great.
Clara episode. Wonderful.
So it's a Clara episode. We've just sat around talking like Clara.
But what's this other dimension though? Could that be the promised land?
Another realm.
Oh,
with
I would
Missy?
hope so. I would hope so.
Could the foe be Missy, and could we finally find out who Missy is?
That would be nice.
Yeah, that
yes,
would be.
Because then we could finally put to rest that she's not the master.
Because she is the master, and I will be vindicated. No, anyway.
What? But
Dean's been saying since the start, Missy is the master.
You know what I would like to see,
No,
though?
the other dimension is actually the second dimension.
What I would like to see is I'd like to see a companion who is like very dorky librarian type with glasses, like really fucking dorky glasses, who eventually just becomes badass or something.
Like the mildly chubby black girl from the Moon episode. You didn't see that one.
Yeah, no. I saw that episode and she was okay. She was.
I fucking hated that episode. By the way,
am I 3 episodes behind? Fuck.
The Kill the Moon.
You are
episode?
way behind.
Kill the Moon. I liked it better than some of the episodes though. This season.
Yeah,
I haven't actually seen Kill the Moon.
Oh my God.
Kill the Moon's good, but I must say that Orient Express is actually better.
Orient Express was pretty good. The Orient Express one.
Orient Express, we actually got a genuine Doctor moment. We actually got to see Peter Capaldi in the very last second piece together the entire puzzle in complete Doctor fashion.
But that's the same thing that happened in what's it called? Oh God, the Time Heist. You see him piece it together in the Time Heist.
You saw him throughout the entire episode piecing that together bit by bit. In the last episode, he has virtually no idea what's actually going on. He's getting slight hints in that, yes, but at the very last second before the woman gets killed, he pieces it together entirely.
Not the woman gets killed.
Well, before the doctor gets killed. I mean, he transfers her, I guess, neurological signature into his own brain, and the mummy thinks he's her. But yes, at the very last moment before he gets killed, he pieces it all together, the entire picture.
And we get evidence of an overarching thing too.
Yep. So, go ahead and maybe after tonight, burn through it and catch up in time for we'll be back in
right
2
after
weeks,
this show.
right? We'll
Yeah.
be right in. We'll be back here in 2 weeks. Maybe everybody should burn through and catch all up. We're getting near the season ender. We will be approaching the end of the season by next episode of Tales from the Infrared. So,
well, spoiler alert. We're not going to see much of Missy or the Promised Land in the next episode or the episode after that. Unfortunately, they seem to be doing okay. Well, the first 2 episodes of the season, all right, let's drop the hints. Let's introduce Missy. Let's introduce this Promised Land. Let's introduce what type of creature would end up in the Promised Land talking to Missy, and then not touch it until like the final fucking episode.
All right, that works for
Well, they
me.
still had hints, and that's the thing that gets me. Something's going on. We're getting hints. We're just not seeing enough to actually figure it out. And in a way, that kind of infuriates me because I prefer to have the hints all over the place. Although we may just get it to where it's, wait, there was a hint and we didn't even notice it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we have reached the end of our show. There's 1 minute left. So I'm going to go around the room and ask for final thoughts on any of the topics, starting with Jim.
You know what? I've said just about everything I need to say, but I will reiterate one thing. You know, people need to start standing up to these social justice warriors and do like Captain America says, stand next to the river of truth and say no.
Dean, your final thoughts.
Gamergate is going to win for exactly the reason that was already stated. Gaming journals, it doesn't matter how many gamers are upset. The fact is, these gaming journalists and their editors have established that it is no longer safe to advertise in a gaming journal. They have lost their bread and butter by the journals have lost their bread and butter by establishing it's no longer a safe, comfortable place to advertise.
Yeah.
Nefanor.
As I said yesterday, the official theme song of Gamergate is "We are the champions, my friend. We'll keep on fighting till the end."
Never gonna give
I
you
thought we
up.
had a no singing rule here on Tales from the Infrared.
We do, but Rachel and Nefanor keep breaking it. Dean, I will keep finding a way. I will keep trying to get rid of Nefanor, but I don't know.
Hey, don't get rid of our alien.
Rachel,
Okay,
your final thoughts?
my final thoughts are to do with Gamergate. May your words be based and your resolution unwavering. That's all.
Yay!
James Huff, you have any final thoughts?
Walking Dead.
Yes.
All right.
It's going to be a great season. It's starting off very, very, very strong. But we are out of time. I want to thank everybody here on the panel for being here, and I want to thank everybody in the audience for taking time out of your Saturday to listen to us shoot the shit. And remember, take the red pill.